So here we have the next chapter, that is about the tensor analysis. Tensor analysis is basically, you can say that this is the generalization of the vector analysis, or you can say it is of great use in mechanics, fluid dynamics, and there are some differential geometry and other fields of the science and engineering. So here we shall discuss some Cartesian tensors. For example, the tensor which are expressed in the term of the, you can say, the components refer to the rectangular Cartesian coordinate system. So the first is we have to learn some notation of the Cartesian tensor in this, you can say, in this lecture. So here this is the basic idea or the basic notation which we are using throughout this chapter. So the first one is, what is a summation convention? So for this I am taking some expression that a1 x1 plus a2 x2 plus a3 x3, like this is some expression. So if I write it in the summation form, so I can write it as summation. I can say I is from 1 to 3 ai xi, like this. And also if I omit this summation sign, so I can write it simply as ai xi. That means the repeated index here, or you can say that the suffix, this is basically the repeated index here, that is I, and that represents here the summation, and that is from 1 to 3. So this is the basic concept of summation. So whenever a suffix appears twice in the same expression, as you can see here, that expression is to be summed over all the values of the suffix, namely I can say that 1, 2 and 3. So this is basically the you can say the summation, how to apply the summation, or how to, you can say, express the summation. Now we have some other terms, that is dummy and free index. What is dummy and free index or indices? An index which is repeated in a given expression so that the summation convention applies is basically called a dummy index, while an index occurring only once in a given expression is called the free index, where the summation does not apply. For example, I am taking some expression here that ak bj k. So here, which one is dummy and which one is free index? As I told you earlier, that if the index which is repeated in the given expression so that the summation applies is called the dummy index. So here k is the dummy index, sorry, and j is basically the, I can say that j is free index, because I cannot apply summation according to the j. So summation applies on k, so that means k is the dummy index and you can say j is the free index. So I am taking further some questions and I can write it in the form of the summation convention. So if I take some example, that is a11 x1 plus a12 x2 plus a13 x3. So now I am going to write it in the form of the summation convention. So as you can see here, so 1, 1 and 1. So 1 is fixed here, and only the change comes into this one and this one. So I can write it as a1, and in the place of the 1 I can write I x I, and I is from 1, 2 and 3. So if I apply 1, so that means a1 1 x1 plus a12 x2 plus a13 x2. So I write this expression in the form of the summation convection like this. Now next I am taking another example, that is a11 b11 plus a12 b12 plus a13 b13. So this is same like above. So that means I can write it as a1i b1, you can say I, because this term 1 is fixed, but the second term is changing, so I can write it in the form of this. So if I have the question in the form of x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square, so first I am going to open it up. So x11 plus x2 plus x3. So that is basically I can write it as xi and xi because there is a change in this term. So like this I can write my equation in the term of the summation convection.